Hey guys, Michael from Copper vs Glass, and in today's video we are finally checking out iOS 18 on the iPhone 15 Pro. Now at the time of filming this video we're still a few weeks away from the full release of iOS 18 publicly for everybody. However, with the developer and also public betas that are available now, we've got a pretty good understanding of what we're going to be getting. So, let's take a look. Also, a little bit of housekeeping, iOS 18 will be released on the following devices. And considering we are quickly approaching the iPhone 16, I think it's great that the iPhone XR from 2018 is still getting in on the action. And of course, while Apple Intelligence is a massive part of iOS 18, it's not yet available in beta or really available here in the UK, and I don't think it will be until later on in the year, so I'll be doing a full dedicated video all about Apple Intelligence and Apple's take on AI later on in the year, so make sure you subscribe to see that video. And if you've got any questions about Apple Intelligence, any prompts, or anything that you want me to do with it when it does come out, let me know in the comments section down below. So on to the features, and starting off with the brand new control center. This has had a massive overhaul from previous versions of iOS, and it's the most customizable version that we've ever had. You have multiple pages to go from quick settings, quick actions, music playback, or anything else you can think of about how to control the settings on your phone. So as you can see here, I've got everything set up as I normally would use it. So I've got things like the Bluetooth, volume slider, brightness, Wi-Fi, and all of the daily controls that I think I may be using on a more regular basis. It might be a little bit boring for some people, but it does get the job done. However, if you go to a new page, you can see that you can set up a music only page where you can put your controls of your choice, and then you can resize it to be small, medium, or take up a whole page. So as you can see here, I've got a dedicated media page now. Or you can set up your control center for the larger devices. So if you have an iPhone 15 Pro Max, for example, and you always know that getting to the controls in the top left-hand corner of the screen is a little bit awkward with one hand, you can move all of the controls into the bottom right or on the bottom of the display, so they're super easy to get to. And much like the home screen that we'll get onto later on in the video, there's no limitations in regards to where you want to put the icons. If you want them all the way down the bottom, or have bigger spacing, or all across the display, you've got multiple options here. Now we could go on for ages about who steals what from what, whether it's iOS taking things from Android, Android taking things from iOS. However, I do think this version of Control Center is the most customizable version, not just from iOS, but from Android as well. Let me know in the comments section if you can think of any other Android OS where it's this customizable. And then next up we have game mode. And I know that some of you out there may prefer gaming on your PC or console, and mobile gaming just isn't for you. However, by 2027 there's going to be around 1.9 billion mobile gamers, so it's a pretty big deal. When you have a game open, it prioritizes the CPU for the game and ignores or reduces power going to other open or background apps. It also has a neat trick where it lessens the input lag from Bluetooth devices like earbuds or even controllers. Now don't get me wrong, it doesn't massively impact gaming. It's not going to give you 10 extra frames in Genshin Impact, for example, but it's really nice to see that Apple is prioritizing gaming a little bit more with iOS 18 and also moving forward. Now the importance of AAA gaming on an iPhone is definitely up for debate, and it can be a whole video in itself, so we might leave that for later on. However, your mum's definitely going to be able to get a little bit more extra power when playing Candy Crush. Do people still play Candy Crush? Yeah, it made over $956 million in 2023. How much? Now a little bonus feature is actually what I think a hint of what's coming with future iPhones. For the longest time now, we have heard about Apple removing physical buttons completely from the iPhone. So no volume up, down, power button, action button, it's all completely going to be done with haptics and what is fed back on the system itself. And now in iOS 18, I think we have an indication of what this may look like. Now when you turn the volume up or down or touch the power button, you get a little boop on the side of the screen. This, along with the volume slider, lets you know visually that you have pressed the button. Also in the control center, you now have a force press power button. So again, kind of getting rid of the need for a power button moving forward. So just think, if on the next version of the iPhone or the version after that there are no physical buttons whatsoever, and you have the same haptics that you have in a trackpad on a MacBook, for example, where the haptic and vibration motor makes you think you've pressed the button without pressing it, and then you also get this visual feedback, I think that'll actually work out pretty well. Another new feature comes in the form of widgets and also lock screen customization. Finally. So widgets on the home screen can now be resized without having to delete the widget and replace it. So now when you place a widget, you can place the smallest one and move it around as you need to and change the size. However, one thing that I'm still not a fan of is the grid layout. So as you can see from having all of the apps on the home screen, you have a grid of 6x4. And this has been the same on every iPhone since it released in 2007. So that should mean that for this home screen layout, of which I'll get onto, you can place a 2x2 calendar widget at the top. Well, you actually can't. So the widget grid is more limited, but Apple has time to change this before release, and I hope that they do. For me to have a 2x2 widget in the center of the screen and then some apps below it is kind of my ideal layout, and again reducing everything down and changing it using the customization options. And now finally you can change the quick settings on the lock screen. So if like me you don't really use the flashlight or camera shortcut, you can change them. There are a ton of new options here, and yes, you can choose to launch any app right from the lock screen now. And while we're still on the theme of customization, let's talk about the home screen. Now, before all the people out there that are using Android or are a fan of Android, myself included, let me know directly in the comments that this has been a feature on Android pretty much since it came out. It's still pretty nice to see it here on the iPhone, even if it has taken a very long time to get here. You'll no longer have the same grid of icons or the same home screen now as everybody else using an iPhone because of iOS 18. And I've already seen some pretty good examples of this, and also some terrible examples due to some of the limitations. And don't get me wrong, it is nowhere near Android levels of customization using a custom launcher like Nova Launcher or directly on the Pixel Launcher or what Samsung's offering, but it's great to see that you can now do this on the iPhone. Since the original release in 2007, now your iPhone is kind of going to look a little bit more your own. I just wish that it didn't take so long to get to this point. So now on your home screen you have a new button in the top left when you enter jiggle mode. Here you have the options for widgets, customize and pages. And the new part here is the customize section. You have the option here for light and dark icons, or you can do it automatically depending on the time of day, and then the much loved or hated tinted icons. You can also choose small icons, which keeps the icon label, or the larger icons, which look a little bit cleaner by removing the application name. There is also a very simple and quick button here to change the wallpaper, making it a little bit darker, just to allow your icons to pop a little bit more on your home screen. So if like me you want a bright wallpaper on your home screen and lock screen, but don't want your apps to get lost, you can simply darken the wallpaper, nice and simple, no having to go in and edit it in a photo editing application, and then reapply it, do it separately, very quick, very simple. So now onto the icons themselves. Of course you have the light icons, which you've used and known for a very long time, but you now have the new dark icons, and when you enable dark mode or use these icons, it completely changes the look of the iPhone, for better or for worse, depending on who you ask. Now, app developers still need to update their apps to have this feature, because much like with Google's Material You theming, you still have some apps that really stick out on the home screen. But the first party apps and those that have been updated look great, and even better when paired with a dark wallpaper. And then we get onto the tinted icons. Now this allows you to choose one singular color to tint all of your application icons, and this can be chosen manually, or you can do it based on your wallpaper colors. However, the only nice tint that I've been able to find is the white monochrome version. The other options, of which there are tons, basically any app you can think of, just doesn't look great. So here you have an orange and purple wallpaper, so maybe I want them that color, but then this is the result you get. Now don't get me wrong, some people may like this and the option to pick a wallpaper color to tint your icons with varying results, but for me it just doesn't look great. And the way that some of the icons are designed, once you do tint them, the contrast and basically all of the detail gets lost completely, so you kind of just get an orange blob, which again makes it a little bit harder to find certain applications if you don't know exactly where they're placed on your home screen. Now again, it's taken a long time to get here with regards to the slightly more customized version of the home screen, but I now think it's just time for Apple to just make app icon packs and put them in the App Store. And this doesn't have to be directly from Apple, allow third-party developers to do it as well. We've seen tons of success on Android with these sort of applications, and I think that if Apple done it, they would make an absolute killing, because again it would have to go through the App Store and they would make a ton of money. However, of course, with the new changes in the EU, for example, there may be some other application stores where you can get these icon packs, so maybe that's why Apple aren't necessarily doing it, because they can't make a ton of money from it. Also on the home screen you can place icons anywhere now. So again, if you have the 15 Pro Max and want the icons in the bottom right to reach them, then you're all good to go. But again, the grid and spacing is a little off. Like if you remove the search button from your home screen, why not allow another row of apps down there, because there is plenty of space and it's just a little bit wasted. But overall, I think it's a nice start to make your iPhone finally feel like your own. And for me, my ideal home screen layout is actually this one here. So you can see that I've got my icons down the middle with my favorites at the bottom, allowing the wallpaper to shine a little bit more. However, one thing that I would really like to see is, even with the larger icons turned on, when you go into your app library on the right hand side, you've got no labels there at all. So it does make it a little bit harder if you don't know exactly what the icon looks like to find the specific application that you may be looking for. So yes, have no labels on the home screen, but please do keep the labels in the app library. It just makes it a little bit easier. Now, don't get me wrong, there's also a ton of other features available in iOS 18, and I'm going to post some videos down in the comment section below from Apple and some other creators that maybe go over some more niche things that I didn't necessarily think needed covering here on the channel. For me, I'm more about the customization side of things and how you can actually make your device your own. That's kind of where the channel started with Android, so for me, that's kind of what I focus focused on in this video. But of course, let me know in the comments section down below if you're a fan of Android or that's what you use on the daily. Let me know what you think of iOS 18, and if you're a user of the iPhone, again, let me know how this is going to change things for you moving forward, mainly from the customization side of things. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up down below, and if you're not already subscribed, now's a great time to do so. And of course, once you've hit that subscribe button, don't forget to turn on your notifications so you're notified anytime I post a video here on the channel. I'm Michael from Copper vs Glass. Thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.